NCTV45, The Train, anytime on your time.
Today's programming is brought to you by NCTV45 and NC Radio 450, Newcastle's community television station. This program furnished by Sporting Goods, 23 East Washington Street, Newcastle. Call 724-658-2535.
Welcome to the Cedars Sports Corner, everybody. I'm Alex Laverson, and with me, as always, is our producer, Mr. Angelo Parada. And football is not right around the corner. Football is here, actually.
Yes. Happy summer.
Happy summer. It's been
happy fall.
Yep, that's my favorite time of year, and we're right back into the thick of things. So it's been a minute since I was here, but let's get right into it.
Can I step off a second? First of all, I want to tell you, NCTV45, we're going to have high school football for you, and all the things enhanced that you've come to expect here on NCTV45. So we're looking forward to a great season.
Absolutely.
The second thing I want to ask Mr. Alex, and I'm trying to get this in order, what do you think about the conferences in college football?
Okay. You know, there's ever since the merger, I don't know if I would say merger of conferences in 2011, but when Syracuse and Pitt left the Big East, West Virginia to the Big 12, and all these other schools went to different conferences. To me, it's not the same. Especially in basketball, I missed the Big East basketball tournament. I missed the Big East basketball conference, the original Big East. From Pitt's standpoint, it really, things really haven't worked out that. I don't know if I want to say things haven't worked out that well. They haven't had as much success as originally was hoped for. I mean, they have in football won ACC Coastal Championship. Okay. And basketball, hasn't really been happening, especially since Dixon's departure.
Here's my deal. If we're going to go to these 4 super conferences, the Pac-10, the Big Ten, the ACC in the Southeast, then every conference champ, that's it, there's 4. Now, I realize that this is an economic decision. However, when I look at the votes, Alabama number 1, I get it. They've won a few years in a row.
They're Alabama.
Yeah. Now, Clemson gets slighted, and they get put on 3, and Oklahoma moves up. I'm not there with that because, after all, Clemson was Clemson. They've been there a number of years. Ohio State gets knocked, and they've been there. So my estimation of the top 3, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, should be intact. I look at Notre Dame, who beat Iowa State 3 years ago. And if that seems like a long time, I'm sorry. But they got voted and they were put ahead of Texas A&M. They were put ahead last year, ahead of Cincinnati, Iowa State, Texas A&M. So, shouldn't Notre Dame secure the 4th spot until they're beat? And then Georgia and Oklahoma, 5 and 6, and then everybody else down. Notre Dame, they seem to always position back, that they have to fight out of the box, and no matter how many wins they have, it's still not good.
Well, I mean, the thing I'm very interested about, look at 7 and 8, Iowa State and Cincinnati. 2 schools that are not exactly powerhouses, but they're in the top 10. That's what I like to see. I like to see schools that, you know, are not as powerful get some recognition. I'd love to see a Final Four with both of those schools, honestly. I mean, probably unlikely. I mean, I'm sure it is unlikely.
You know, let's look at Cincinnati. When you look at conferences, okay, and teams, that Cincinnati has to get by, and we're looking at their schedule.
In the American.
Right now. Miami of Ohio, Murray State, then they have Indiana and Notre Dame.
They can get, if they could squeeze by, you know,
well,
those
by
2 games.
October 2nd at 6 o'clock in the night, they're 2-2 at best.
Well,
they're not going to get by number 17 Indiana and number 9 Notre Dame.
Well, I mean,
it's just not going to happen. And they're at Indiana and they're at Notre Dame. I don't see that happening.
Okay, here's the deal, though. Like, Notre Dame has a tendency to sometimes take their foot off the gas pedal, and sometimes these upsets happen. I'm not saying it's likely. What I'm saying is that it could happen. If Cincinnati could find a way to squeeze by those 2 games, and I think Notre Dame for them is winnable. Not guaranteed, not likely, but definitely
well, let's
winnable.
see who Notre Dame has. They're going to play at Florida State, challenge, be on TV, big game. They beat Toledo. Then they're going to play Purdue at home. Purdue will be a tough game. Then they're going to do the Shamrock Series with Wisconsin. I don't see Notre Dame at that early part of the season, if they're 4-0, 3-1, taking their foot off the pedal against Cincinnati. They'll probably pulverize them, beat up on Virginia Tech, and be looking at the USC game as a pivotal game, because a one-loss Notre Dame team going into the USC game, or an undefeated Notre Dame team, has to run the schedule in order to survive. Because the conferences, they're going to have to beat North Carolina, beat Navy, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Stanford.
You know, it's gonna be interesting, just like college football always is. But I think we should take a break, and now a word from our sponsors.
Easy Clean Car and Van Wash, where your clean wash is our goal.
Hi friends, I'm Gary West, and whether you find Augustine's Pizza at your local grocery store, well, the folks at Augustine's Pizza hope that their pizza is always your first choice for any and all occasions. The Cedars restaurant in Newcastle wants you to indulge in the food from their pleasing menu. The Cedars features Mediterranean, pub food, Middle Eastern cuisine, and so much more. They're open every day, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Call The Cedars on the east side at 827 Addis Street, Newcastle. 724-658-9543. That's 724-658-9543.
Welcome back to the Cedar Sports Corner, everybody.
And now I'm making the case why Iowa State shouldn't be there.
Of course,
They start off with challenges. Northern Iowa, decent team. But then the second game, they're going to play Big Ten Iowa. Now, they're looking for a home because of Texas and Oklahoma leaving. If Iowa State thinks they're going to get into the Big Ten, they got to prove it against Iowa, and they haven't in a long, long time.
well, also let's keep in mind these rankings are based about how they feel like these are the top 25 best teams going in to the season. So again, they can't take into account if they think they're going to lose in week 2 or 3. It's about the point in time. Now listen, it is going to be it's not going to be easy, obviously, to maintain a top 10 ranking. Obviously, when you have 3 ranked teams on your schedule, like Iowa, Texas, and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And also, too, there's other teams on there that are going to.
I know you don't want to hear this, but West Virginia is not a slouch.
I know that's true. They never are always.
And Oklahoma State beat Iowa State last year.
Yeah. Again, look, it's unlikely for Iowa State to maintain a top 10 ranking throughout the season, but at this point in time, I'm not gonna say they shouldn't be there. Now, will it stay that way? Probably not. Now, as far as the ACC goes, again, as I said on past shows, this has to be this has to be it for Narduzzi. Because 7 years. This is going to be 7 years. 2014 is when Narduzzi came to Pitt. And 7 years in college football is like 60 years in real life.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what's big for Pitt. September 11th. Pitt has to take care of business against UMass, Western Michigan, and New Hampshire. Game week 2 is at Tennessee. If Pitt cannot take care of business against Tennessee, it's going to be a long season.
Yeah.
Because after they come out of that, at Georgia Tech, at Virginia Tech, and Clemson.
See, the thing is, Pitt is just one of those schools where they lose to teams they should beat, and then they'll beat a team they have no business beating. It's so, to me, it could be very frustrating to look at them and be like, okay, I'm going to pencil this in as a win or a loss. But in general, with Pitt, you get 6 to 8 wins, 8 on a good year. You can once every 5 to 7 years compete for an ACC Coastal title. That's kind of the ceiling right now.
Look at mid-October for them. Mid to late October, they've got Clemson, Miami at home, at Duke, and then back to number 10 North Carolina. The Duke game at Duke always puts together a decent team. So if they don't bulk up in the first 4 games where they need wins, bowl eligibility could be in question.
They could, and if that's the case, Narduzzi would have to be gone. I mean, I know Pitt wanted stability since they had all those coaching turnovers in the early 2010s, but
And here's what I'm going to ask. Does that stability come with a price?
Yeah. you get stuck with your 6 and 8 win seasons. But I think we should take a break. And now a word from our sponsors.
Shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer.
Hello,
Come on,
friends,
shake your body,
and
baby, do that conga.
it's
No, you can't control yourself
Los
any
Amigos.
longer.
Let me tell you what, great food. Whether you get the chimichangas, enchiladas, tacos, whatever you get, you're going to love them. The nice, friendly atmosphere. Stop by. Tell them NCTV45 sent you. It's Los Amigos sponsoring this program.
You can't control yourself any longer. Feel the rhythm of the music.
It's the sauce. It's the cheese. It's the ingredients. It's the crunch. It's Chubby's Pizza. Let's pizza again, like we did way back when.
They use Augustine's ingredients.
If you're craving hot dogs and more, and you're in the area, then look no farther than Coney Island.
And we're back, and we got to talk about the NFL.
Yes, the NFL is here. 2 preseason games in the books. Couple Steeler legends in the hall now. Paul Malu,
Yeah.
Cower. Good to see them in.
Locals doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Down at Baltimore, and you don't want to say Baltimore, but Geno Stone down there and doing okay. And the word out of Dallas is that Malik Hooker isn't doing bad.
Good, and I'm rooting for, obviously everyone is rooting for both Stone and Malik Hooker, but especially Malik Hooker since he had such bad luck with the injuries and stuff.
Yes.
Those are one of the things you can't help. Like, what can you do? He's obviously an amazing talent. As far as our Pittsburgh Steelers go, this is going to be a very
2-0 going into Detroit this weekend. And you've got the Carolina Panthers, the last game.
of the
Things
preseason.
look, of the preseason, things look good for the Steelers.
Well, I'm still worried about the defense. Okay, so week 1 Buffalo, probably going to be a loss. They could beat the Raiders, obviously, and the Bengals. Green Bay's going to be tough. If they can come out of week 6 at 4-2, that'd be obviously great. And then, Cleveland obviously going to be tough. Who would have? Man, I'm not used to saying that. Coming out of the bye week at Cleveland.
If you come out 4-2 or above, you're looking good, because if you beat Cleveland and you got a bye week, you're rested before you go in. Now, you're looking good in that, because the Cleveland team has a little bit different way to look at this, as Cleveland has 1 win. They're only doing a 3-week preseason. They got to do Kansas City, Houston,
Kansas
Chicago.
At Minnesota's not going to be, a walk in the park. I mean,
So when they get to the Steelers, they have really been in the grinder and they haven't had a break.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people are picking the Browns to win the AFC North. I think with the AFC North, it's going to be one of those things where the Browns, Steelers, and Ravens, it's going to go down to the last week or 2 of the season. I feel like they're all going to hover around 10 wins, 9 to 10 wins, and it can just be...
I think it becomes a Steeler-Ravens shootout with the Browns playing the spoiler and the Bengals carrying up the rear.
Yeah, no one's really worried about the Bengals. I'm also interested to see how Urban Meyer does at Jacksonville. Obviously, not expecting much, the first year. Probably stick with just a few wins. But that's going to be interesting, seeing Urban Meyer, a pure college coach, make a transition in the NFL. Sometimes that hasn't worked out. But
Just ask Lou Holtz.
there's a few situations.
And he's a great college coach.
So ultimately, again, the only other division that really, to me, is going to be competitive in terms of there's no other competition, it would be the AFC South. What I mean by that, I phrased that poorly. What I mean by that, I feel like it's going to be going down to the wire with the Titans and Colts. AFC North, like I said, I think it'll be go down to the wire with the Steelers, Bengals, and Ravens. But with the West, I feel like it's the Chiefs all the way, obviously, and then the Bills in the AFC East. As far as the NFC goes, if you want to scroll down on your screen, and we can take a look at those teams. The NFC East, I mean, Dallas,
Nobody has a win in the preseason in the NFC East.
Yeah, I don't go too much about it, but think too much about the preseason. But I have a feeling Dallas is going to come out of that division. NFC North.
They're due.
NFC North. Packers and Vikings. Well, not Packers and Vikings. I think it'll be the.
I think the Bears are due.
And obviously the Buccaneers and the NFC South, and then the NFC West, which is going to be interesting because Aaron Donald and the Rams, and then we got the Seahawks. I think it's going to be a fight out with those two teams for the division, but the Niners actually have a really easy schedule. So
I picked the Niners as a spoiler.
yeah, Niners can play spoiler. So overall, I'm just excited that football is finally here. Fantasy football is here. And
stay tuned to NCTV45 for football.
Absolutely. Any last words, Angelo?
Let's go Irish.
And let's go, Pitt.
Have a great day.
The Cedars restaurant in Newcastle wants you to indulge in the food from their pleasing menu. The Cedars features Mediterranean, pub food, Middle Eastern cuisine, and so much more. They're open every day 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Call the Cedars on the east side at 827 Addis Street, Newcastle. 724-658-9543. That's 724-658-9543.